He raised a glass to 25 perfect years and slipped divorce papers into my hand like it was part of the toast. I smiled for the crowd, but my heart dropped, because you don't end a marriage between champagne and applause. Then his phone buzzed, and I wasn't supposed to look, but one message lit up the screen. After tonight she signs, or she loses everything. I froze because that wasn't a threat, that was a plan. And when I looked up, I saw her standing across the room watching him like she already belonged in my life. He met her eyes and smiled like I was the only one who didn't know what was about to happen in that moment. I realized this wasn't betrayal, this was strategy. He wasn't leaving me, he was trying to erase me. And the worst part, he thought I wouldn't fight back. I didn't open the envelope right away. I just held it in my lap, while the room filled with laughter and applause like nothing had happened, like my husband hadn't just handed me the end of my life disguised as a celebration. Marcus Hale stood beside me, relaxed, confident, raising his glass. Again, as if the first blow wasn't enough, "Don't make a scene," he had whispered. And the words stayed with me, louder than the music, louder than the voices calling us perfect. I smiled, because I knew how this worked. You perform happiness until you can't anymore, but something inside me had already shifted, something cold and alert. I watched him instead of the crowd, the way he avoided my eyes, the way his phone buzzed. And he turned it face down too quickly. 25 years. And suddenly, there were secrets that alone told me. This wasn't sudden, this was planned. I stood when they asked me to speak, my heels steady, my voice calm. I thanked everyone, said the right things, let them believe in a story that was already breaking apart. While my mind kept circling one question: how long had he been preparing this? When I finished, I caught at a glance across the room a woman in a black dress, standing near the bar, not talking, not laughing, just watching him. And when he walked past her, their eyes met, and something silent passed between them, something practiced, something real. I felt it like a crack running under my skin. I returned to my seat, slowly placing my hand over my purse, where the envelope waited like it was alive. Marcus squeezed my knee like nothing had changed, like we were still us. But I could feel the distance already growing, something invisible but permanent. Dessert came, speeches continued, and I nodded at conversations I didn't hear, because every instinct was telling me to get out, to find somewhere quiet, to finally face what he had done. I excused myself calmly and walked down the hallway, the noise fading behind me, until it was just silence and the sound of my own breathing. I locked myself in the restroom, took the envelope out, and opened it carefully. Inside were pages, clean, sharp, official. I didn't need to read everything, one line was enough. Divorce petition filed, terms outlined, deadline set, vacate residence within 30 days. I read it again, slower this time, making sure I wasn't misunderstanding. But the words didn't change. They only settled deeper. He wasn't asking, he was telling me where I would go, what I would lose, how fast it would happen. I let out a breath, steady, controlled. And that's when I heard his voice from the hallway, low, focused, not meant for me. "It's done," he said. "She hasn't reacted." Yet a pause, then quieter. "She'll sign. She has to after tonight." I stood completely still, every word cutting clearer than the last. This wasn't emotion. This was execution. "Everything's ready," he added. "Just stick to the plan." And in that moment, something inside me locked into place, not fear, not heartbreak, something sharper, understanding. He thought tonight would break me. He thought I would walk back into that room, blind, smiling, obedient, exactly who he needed me to be. But when I stepped out of that restroom and walked back toward the party, I wasn't that woman anymore, not even close. Before I tell you what I did next, tell me this: where are you watching from? Because if you've ever trusted someone long enough to forget they could betray you, you'll understand exactly why I didn't say a word that night. I walked back into the party with the same calm smile, sat beside Marcus like nothing had changed, and let him believe his plan was working perfectly. He played his role even better, attentive, charming, his hand resting lightly over mine like we were still the couple everyone admired. But now I was watching everything differently. Every move, every glance, every second felt staged. And then I saw her again, the woman in black, still there, still watching. Except this time, Marcus didn't look away when their eyes met. He moved toward her near the exit like it was natural, like it was already allowed. His hand hovered near her back, not touching, but close enough to say everything I needed to know. I turned away before he could catch me looking. Because now this wasn't about reacting, this was about learning the full shape of the trap he had built for me when we got home. He loosened his tie like it had been a long day, not the final act of a setup. We should get some rest. He said casually, big day tomorrow, tomorrow. I repeated softly, yeah. He said, avoiding my eyes a lot to handle. I nodded and walked into the bedroom, placing my purse down. Like it didn't carry the end of my marriage. He showered. While I sat on the edge of the bed, replaying his words, she'll sign she has to after tonight, which meant tonight wasn't the end, it was just step one. Whatever pressure he planned hadn't happened yet. And that meant I still had time. When he came out, he kissed my temple like routine, like habit. Like 25 years could be reduced to muscle memory. Good night, Alina. He said good night, Marcus. I replied and waited until his breathing slowed into sleep before I reached for his phone. It lit up instantly, no passcode, no hesitation, just trust in the version of me he thought still existed. Notifications filled the screen, one name repeating again and again. Leela. I opened the messages, and the first line hit harder than anything else. Don't mess this up tonight. She needs to feel like she has no option. His reply came seconds later. She won't fight back. She never does. I stared at that longer than I should have, not because it hurt, but because it explained everything. Who I had been to him, calm, patient, predictable, someone he believed he could corner and erase. I kept scrolling after the party. We push the papers harder. If she resists, Hayes will step in. Leela responded, good, public pressure works best. I switched to his call logs. 3:07 a.m. Leela. 3:42 a.m. Hayes, then opened a file labeled asset strategy. And there it was, step by step, how to pressure a spouse, how to control assets, how to make sure I walked away with as little as possible. I closed the phone, slowly placed it back exactly where it had been, and lay beside him, staring at the ceiling, feeling something shift completely. They thought I was weak. They thought I would break quietly, sign, disappear. But they made one mistake. They showed me everything before it was over. And now I wasn't guessing anymore. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was planning. When morning came, Marcus left like nothing had changed. Meetings all day. We'll talk tonight, he said. I smiled lightly. Of course we will. The door closed behind him, and the silence felt different, cleaner. I walked to my desk, opened my laptop, and made one call. Vanessa Cole. When she picked up, I didn't waste time. I need your help. And for the first time since he handed me that envelope, I felt it, control slipping back into my hands, piece by piece, exactly where it belonged. Before I tell you how it ended, tell me this: did you follow or subscribe yet? Because what happened next isn't just a reaction, it's the kind of ending that either shocks you or satisfies you completely. And Marcus had no idea which one was waiting for him. By the time he texted that he'd be late, I had already secured everything that mattered: documents, scanned evidence, backed up accounts. Separated, not emotional, not rushed, just precise. When he walked in that night, he looked the same, confident, controlled, like the man who thought he had. "Already one, you're still up," he said. I leaned against the counter, calm, waiting. "We need to talk tonight." His expression shifted slightly, not fear, not yet, just irritation. "Can it wait?" he asked. "No." I said, "It really can't." We sat across from each other at the table, the same place where we had built a life. He thought he could quietly dismantle. I slid the envelope back toward him. "You didn't give this to me properly." His eyes dropped, then lifted. "So you saw it." I met his gaze. I saw everything. Something flickered behind his eyes, calculation replacing surprise faster than I expected. "Then let's not drag this out," he said, leaning back. "It's better this way, cleaner, cleaner." I repeated, "You plan to corner me in front of 100 people. That's not clean, that's strategy." He didn't deny it. He just shifted tone, softer, now controlled. "Look, Alina, this will only get worse for you if you fight it, won't?" I said calmly, and slid a document across the table. "Read it?" He did. And I watched the moment everything cracked. "The condo isn't yours," he said slowly. "It never was." I replied, "It was mine before you. And legally it still is." Silence hit hard this time. He wasn't ready for that. "Okay, fine," he snapped. "We still split everything else." I tilted my head. "We already did." His face froze. "I moved my half this morning. Every transfer documented." His voice dropped. "You had no right." I held his stare. "I had every right. You just didn't expect me to use it." The control slipped further, anger rising. "Now, you think this changes anything?" He said it. "Does?" I replied, and tapped my phone, sliding it toward him. The screen lit up with messages. His messages, Leela's words, the entire plan laid out in black and white. His face lost color instantly. "That's private," he said, reaching for it. I pulled it back. "No. This is evidence." Silence stretched longer, this time heavier. "What do you want?" he finally asked. And that was at the moment everything turned. I leaned back, calm, clear. "I want a clean divorce. No pressure, no manipulation. You walk away with what's yours. I keep what's mine, and we end this like adults." He stared at me longer than he ever had before, like he was finally seeing someone new. "You've changed," he said quietly. I shook my head. "No. I just stopped being predictable." That was the moment he lost, not when I found the messages, not when I moved the money, but right there, when he realized he couldn't control the outcome anymore. The weeks after moved fast, legal filings, court dates, signatures. No drama, no scenes, just facts and consequences. Leela disappeared the moment. The advantage did. Marcus tried to reach out, not to fix anything, but to regain ground that no longer existed. I kept everything documented, distant, controlled. In court, it was simple evidence. Doesn't argue, it proves. The condo stayed mine. The assets were already split. His plans collapsed under their own weight. And when it was over, we stood outside in silence. He looked at me like he wanted to rewrite everything. "But some endings don't allow edits." "I misjudged you," he said finally. I nodded. "Yes, you did. I thought you wouldn't fight back." He added. I looked at him steady. "You never really knew me then, did you?" He didn't answer, because there wasn't one. I turned and walked away, not angry, not broken, just done. When I stepped back into my home, it didn't feel like something I almost lost. It felt like something I had taken back completely. And that's the part people don't understand. This was never about revenge, it was about control. He thought he was ending my story that night. What he actually did was force me to take it back. And once you see everything clearly, you don't panic, you don't beg, you don't break, you plan, you act. And you walk away with exactly what was always yours.